Recent protests around the valley have focused on the Trump administration's immigration and deportation policies. And for a closer look at what's driving the marches and demonstrations, we welcome Reina Montoya, founder of Aliento, which advocates for immigrants. It's good to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Good to see you as well.
These recent protests in Phoenix and in Glendale, what are your thoughts?
Yes, I think that people are definitely upset and frustrated about the situation with the Trump administration. I would say that the majority of them have been peaceful, but there's always bad actors that have been doing some damage. So I think from my perspective, it's really critical that we focus on the message about why people are going into the streets, and hopefully they can continue to do it peacefully.
How well coordinated have these demonstrations been?
I would say that not all of them have been really well coordinated. I think that people are young or people are a little bit older. They're seeing it on TikTok, they're seeing it on social media, and they just want to do something about it. And maybe this is the first time that they're doing something like that. On the other side, we saw how a chapter of Aliento at ASU was able to organize a very peaceful solidarity rally with close to 1,000 students, or a little bit over 1,000 students, that after the situation that happened with the College Republicans United.
Yeah. I know that the Day Without Immigrants kind of affected some of these marches here. Was there coordination there?
I would say that it was very random. It was really driven by social media and wanting people to do something about it.
So what are you hearing as well? Let's just start with ICE, the acting director. He says that these raids are targeting violent criminals, and yet we saw a report in the Arizona Republic that that's not necessarily the case. What are people saying? What are people thinking about what's happening out there?
People are really afraid and they're really concerned because what you're seeing on the media, what you're hearing from the Trump administration is not what actually is happening in the ground. We saw it from the Arizona Republic report. Over 75% or close to 75% of the deportations have been people without criminal conviction. So I think that people are really afraid that people who haven't paid taxes, folks that haven't really gotten in any trouble with the law, they are now targeted to be deported.
The idea of another executive order which allows for raids in churches and in hospitals and in schools, other sensitive places like this. What are you hearing as far as how that is impacting the daily lives of folks?
People are making different decisions about not going to school, not going to church. I was talking to a friend of mine that is deciding to watch church online rather than going to church. There are a couple of students that we work with that they didn't go to school the day after they saw this hateful rhetoric from the College Republicans United. So definitely it has been really difficult and challenging to see during these times where families are really afraid of their livelihood.
And when that order comes down regarding churches, hospitals, and these sorts of things, schools, and courthouses even, how does that word get around?
We're seeing that the executive orders have been getting a lot of attention. We as an organization, for us, we have seen that there's been a lot of misinformation going on social media. So part of what we have done is done videos to inform the community, created social media graphics to ensure that they are aware about what is actually happening, what is being contested by the courts. We side with birthright citizenship, that right now, even if babies are born, they're still citizens. That's still the law of the land. But right now, there's a lot of confusion and misinformation. So we have taken it upon ourselves to inform our community.
I was going to say, how busy are you guys these days with getting the information out there?
We're not sleeping that much, if I can be quite honest. But for us, we work with a lot of students and a lot of principals and institutions. So most of our work at Aliento is with children 7 to 24. So there's a lot of concerns about applying for FAFSA. There's a lot of concerns about going to school. We in Arizona have a chronic absenteeism problem. We don't need students to be afraid to go to class because they're going to get deported.
Well, there's also concern that testimony in crimes, these sorts of things, people will not come forward because they're afraid if they come forward, they're going to be somehow detained.
We were doing a Know Your Rights session at ASU, and one of the students came forward saying that someone hit her car and she's a citizen, but her parents are undocumented and she's not willing to call the police because she's afraid that that can escalate to a potential deportation.
What do you say to those who support the administration's ideas, who support the idea of deportation, mass raids, and these sorts of things? They say it's about time. They say things have gotten out of hand. They say, obviously, what is it about illegal? You don't understand, that old cliche. But what do you say to them?
What would you do if you were in our shoes? What would you do if you have been paying taxes for over 30 years, that you only made one mistake in your life that pushed you from different circumstances? What would you have done?
Yeah. And when the administration says it's targeting violent criminals, obviously the numbers, according to the Republic, are a little off there. But when they say they're targeting violent criminals, does that in any way mollify the situation, or is that just, you're just not buying it?
That's not what we're seeing in the ground. That's not what we're seeing in the data. And that's something that is very concerning if you actually pay attention to the hard numbers. The majority of undocumented folks that have been arrested and detained do not have a criminal violent conviction. Time after time in research, it shows that undocumented people have less criminal activity than our counterparts that are citizens. So the data, my students would say the math is not mathy.
Math is not mathy? I gotcha. DACA, where does it stand amid all this?
We're still in a legal limbo. I'm a DACA recipient myself, so we heard decision coming from the Fifth Circuit the Friday before the inauguration, so mid-January. So we're still waiting. Potentially it's going to end up at the Supreme Court. We don't know the date. We don't know the outcome yet, but currently DACA recipients are still protected under the DACA program. They can renew, and then we have about 100,000 students and young people that got caught up in the system that their case has never been resolved.
Yeah. Last question here. What do you tell? What is your main message for folks who come to you for help and assistance?
You're not alone. We are hearing a lot of folks in the minority that they don't want us here. But when I talk to Trump supporters who voted for Mr. Trump, they didn't believe that he was going to target people who have been paying taxes. They didn't believe that they were going to come after DACA recipients. So I think that right now it is important that we really ask our question as America, which is the America that we want to be, and to ensure that our dreamers and our students are not alone.
Reina Montoya, again, Aliento, it's good to have you here. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Likewise.